See, I can't help it. I gotta move. I gotta move. I can't not move. I was moving so much I didn't even put the screen up correctly. What the heck?
No, we got it. That's all right.
Well, you know,
I do like the music you pick for the podcast. That's what's cool about it, you know?
Well,
I'm proud of
it. Yeah. What he said.
The intro music.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
All right. Hey, let's kick this off. So tonight, special guest, the Jeff Bateson. You know, people are used to seeing you as one of the co-hosts, but tonight we're going to focus on you. So how are you doing tonight, Jeff?
I'm doing pretty good. You can still hear me, right?
Yeah, we got you. Got you loud and clear. Yeah. Got a new mic. That's good. So
yeah, that's right.
Let's go with that.
There we go.
I like it. Hey, let's talk about you, and let's talk about who you are, what you do, and kind of how we came together, you know, as friends, and then, you know, what brought you into using Convene. So just introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and all that.
Well, born and raised in Michigan, about 30 years, went to school, went to college in Michigan. And let's see, after college, I moved out to Colorado for a couple of years with two of my good friends, and thought I was going to live out there for a while. And then my coaching job, or I should say the coaching job at my school, Alma College, came open. My old coach left to go back to his alma mater, and started coaching soccer right away. So I was destined to be a teacher. At some point, my entire family was some part of education and grew up around that. And that's what I went to school for. And instead of teaching in the classroom, I was teaching on the soccer field. So, that's what I started doing. And then moved down here in 2006, down to North Carolina, where I'm currently at, where you guys are, where you're at, I should say. And then still here. Still here.
Yeah, well, we have two things in common. I'm from North Carolina. Now you live in North Carolina. Right. I just left Michigan earlier today, so we're both. I mean, I'm a Michigander, you know, partly. It
and now
snowed
you know the trials and tribulations of Michiganders in the winter, don't you?
Oh, it already started. It snowed on me this week. It was pitiful, and I can't do it. It's miserable.
Yeah, well, it's like I told you the other day. I never minded the cold, but when it's windy and cold, man, that is. You can't warm up. It's so hard to warm up. You know, you're telling me about the snow flurries outside the hangar, and I was just like, I remember those days. No way.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, that's pretty cool. So you left college, you became a coach right away and started working with youth. So you've always kind of had a passion about working with youth and all that. So
I've always enjoyed it. Yeah, I've always enjoyed it. I mean, even when I was playing, you know, we'd have little day camps and stuff, and I'd go work the camps, and I always just enjoyed being around the kids. And, you know, they just got so much energy, and almost everything's fun to them, right? That it doesn't matter what's going on. They're laughing when they're kicking the ball and running around. So, and then when I got into coaching, you know, you go do soccer camps in the summer, both for, you know, a little extra pay, you know, networking, and then also do some recruiting. And again, just being around the youth, the kids, you know, they want to learn, they want to have fun, they want to work, and it's just a good time. I've always enjoyed it. You know, I've always enjoyed that. No longer coaching at college, and I miss it. I really do, and mainly the interaction with the players. But you know, coaching in the high school, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But so I still get that. You know, it's different because I'm not working at the school I'm coaching at, so I don't get to see the kids all the time. You know, I see them for 3.5 months a year, and that I really enjoy that part. Makes coaching fun when you like your kids. Yeah.
So, well, we'll get into that a little bit more on working with kids and all that when we're talking about the stuff you're doing in Convene, because it's important. But let's talk about you know, how you and I met and all that, and that started really
recruiting Braden. Recruiting Braden. So actually went over. And I can't remember how it happened first, whether I got some information from him or he or I sent him some stuff. But I remember going to Reagan. I remember going to watch some games because one of his teammates was also being recruited by a friend of mine and another coach. So we went over and watched, and just always liked the way he played. You know, scrappy player, good player, heady player, passionate player, as you know, we're talking a little bit before we started. But And you guys came over for a visit his junior year, if I'm not mistaken, end of his junior year.
Yeah.
And I remember we were sitting in the cafeteria having lunch and just started, talking about really everything, and kind of an instant connection between the three of us. And that's when you introduced me to the idea of Convene. Actually, you both did. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was shortly after you and Braden came back from the big meeting, where Braden was like, this is what it's about, sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And you were telling me about that. And we just kind of kept talking about it.
Yeah, we had a meeting in Raleigh, North Carolina with a gentleman, and Braden went with me, and we met with another friend of mine who had set that meeting up. And it was, Braden's always been a huge part of Convene, been really involved since he was 13 years old. And he walked out of that meeting with a kind of newfound appreciation of it. And that was more of a business to business thing, but it really struck Braden. He walked out and he was like, I get this. I see why, Convene is needed, especially on the business side.
Usually it takes something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does.
Yeah.
It takes that wake up moment, and the guy was all about it and, explaining it. And Braden's like, so I see what you created and all that, which was really pretty cool.
Right.
So I thought that was good. So Braden came to play with you,
he did.
Play for you. Which
he
was
did well.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
It was cool, because I'll tell you, and this is a testament to you, and even to this day, you did something that no other coach did that Braden was getting recruited from. He went out to the mailbox one day and he got this handwritten postcard from you. And here he is, 26 years old. That postcard is still on his bulletin board.
Yeah.
And I thought that touch of what you did, that personal touch, it wasn't a email saying thanks for coming. It wasn't a text saying thanks for coming. It was a handwritten letter saying thanks for coming. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something I kind of got from my upbringing. Again, being around an education family, but also my coach in college would handwrite letters. Now, granted, he was a terrible handwriter and terrible speller, which I don't know anybody else like that. But but that always meant something to me, and so I kind of kept doing that. And I just think it's nice. Not very much. Even when recruiting Braden, and that was probably 2014, 15, right in there.
Yeah.
Kids didn't get a lot of letters in the mail, right? And so I always thought that was kind of a cool thing. And I still try to write as many handwritten notes as I can. Now in the classroom, I'll write a note as much as I can to kids on their papers, or now I have to type it in on the computer. But even for our soccer banquets, our senior nights, I'll still write a handwritten note to every one of the seniors, put it in an envelope, and I don't mail it to them, but I'll give it to them on the senior night, and they all kind of look at it.
Yeah, that's cool.
What is this thing? So, but it was something I used to
that's
do.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really cool, and the reason why I think it's cool, it's personal, and it's coming from you, and it's something that sticks in, and that to me. And I'll say this, that to me shows somebody that's more than just a coach. It's more than just about the X's and O's of being on the field and, the strategy. It's actually pouring into them personally.
Yeah. And so I used to go do camps a lot. I used to work the Indiana University soccer camp all the time, every summer. There was a guy named David Green there. David Green, if you looked at him, you would not think he was not only not a soccer player, but not an athlete. He was a big, tall guy, looked like Sideshow Bob. But one of the nicest human beings I've ever been around. And he was very methodical in what he did, just about everything, his thinking, his speaking, his movements, all that. And I just remember, being in the lounge one afternoon, whatever, and he was writing. I said, Dave, what do you do? And he said, I'm writing a letter. And I think he said it was to his mom. I can't remember, mom or one of his good friends. He was writing a letter. Didn't think much about it. Next day, he's doing it again. I said, Dave, writing another letter? He goes, no, same one. He goes, I'm going to redo it. I said, something like, did you mess up or whatever? He goes, nope, I just want to make sure it's really well written. And he spent 3 days writing this 1.5-page letter. But it was all about what you just sort of said is, wanted to make sure it was right. Wanted to have the right feeling to it. Amy wrote in and said it makes kids feel seen as individuals. And I agree with that. It, and that was his point. He wanted to make sure that person felt special at the moment. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we talk about it like it's so important, especially nowadays, as people want to be seen, heard, and validated, right? They want to know that they matter.
Right.
And that's part of coaching. That's part of teaching. It's
Yep.
part of everyday life, what we should be doing.
Yeah, and it gets harder now. You're talking about teaching. It's harder to do that. And you would think that being inside of a classroom with, 20 kids every single day and the same 20 kids for every day for a semester or a year. But, there's so many more distractions, and you have to be more intentional about connecting with kids, at the point. So you'd think it'd be easier, but it's not.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me.
Yeah.
So you transitioned, you coached in college. You actually went over and were at UNCG, where I went to school and college and played baseball there.
Saw your statue out front of the baseball field.
Yeah, the statues are still out front of the baseball field.
Nobody's taking it down.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Those are good old days. UNCG. I love it.
Yeah, it was a good time. And then had to transition out of college. Had a couple of opportunities to go and interview out of state elsewhere, but we have family here now, and my girls were early to middle school, I guess, if you will, and it was just important, I think, for me to be around them. Coaching, most jobs, obviously, but coaching is a lot of hour job, and you're always at different places. So I wasn't around them as often as I probably wanted to be. As I should have been. So it was time to transition out and got into the classroom, and I get to enjoy those two, play volleyball just about daily and in every state in the Midwest and the Southeast.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun chasing them around. So.
Yeah, exactly. Think about that. You're coaching kids and, at a high level and all that. And then, going to tournaments, recruiting and all that. And now you have daughters going to tournaments all over the place, the high terms,
recruiting age and all that. So, but it's fun. It's not only fun to watch them play and their teams play, and the camaraderie within their teams is great. But I really enjoyed. I didn't know much about volleyball other than gym class in elementary and middle school, or whatever. But I just enjoy watching. I should say I also enjoy watching the coaching aspect. I like watching other coaches, how they interact and how they coach, and how they try to, as we just talked about, connect with the kids. And so it's pretty interesting and kind of fun to do. Sit back and watch it all.
Did you study the volleyball scene from Top Gun to prepare?
I'm still working out to be able to look like that. So I'm working on it.
Duly noted.
Yeah. What's interesting about that, and I hate when people make this comment. I'm going to tell you what I hate is like, but I'm going to make the comment, but it's actually true. And it's a comment that's horrible. It's like, better enjoy it while you can, because it's going to be over before you know it,
Yeah. Well, you said that a couple years ago.
Oh, but it's such a fact. I mean, we were talking about photography and taking pictures and how important that is before we started the show. And it is. I mean, you got a couple of years left. And so I'm glad you're doing what you're doing and you're taking it in and you're at the volleyball court, every weekend and everything, because man, it's going to be like, holy crap, it's over,
Yeah. I've always had a bit of an appreciation for that, just from the coaching side of it, and, senior days and parents saying it, kids saying it. And obviously you and I went through it as your final games, and it's emotional, but it'll be different, I'm sure, in the next couple of years, but I'm having a good time with it. There's no question about that.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So now you're in the classroom though also. And so talk a little bit about that and the impact you get to make on kids daily, or try to, because it's a different world out there. These kids are going through a lot of things, and it's, the teachers are role models, and you have to play a big part.
Yeah. It's, one thing I tell people is when they'll ask about the difference teaching and coaching and all that. Like I already mentioned, coaching, it's a lot of hours. It's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of hours. And teaching is less hours total, but I'm more exhausted. I saw a little thing the other day on, I don't know, Facebook or Instagram or something about, the amount of decisions teachers make in a day. And I think it was more catered towards younger elementary age, because they got kids running everywhere. But the amount of decisions made every day in the classroom just mentally drains you. And I can attest to that, you know, and I only have 16 to 20 kids in 3 blocks during the day. So I'm not in a large school with 25 to 35 kids, which I can't imagine. And God bless those teachers. But it's been rewarding. You know, it's very similar to the relationships on the field. Certainly it's different in athletics and then in the classroom. But, you know, when you're on the field, you have to cater to or deal with different physical abilities. You know, how do they kick a ball? How do they receive a ball? How do they pet, whatever. Well, in the classroom, it's the mental abilities, right? It's how do they work? How do they learn best? How do they hear? You know, I'm still getting used to that part, and it's tough because, you know, every parent wants you to cater to their kid or pay attention to their kid as much as possible, but you know, you've got 20 to 30 of them at a time, and you can't get to them all. So it's a different world. When I first started, I was in middle school. Man, middle school teachers are angels. They're saints. And now I'm in the high school, and I started right during at the end of COVID. Let me go backwards. The beginning of COVID, I should say. So the spring of my first year, we went out of the classroom because of COVID. My second 2 semesters, we were online fully the next semester in high school, and then partially the second semester. So the first year I'm with my 9th and 10th graders in the high school, I'm online with them. So there's an adjustment, you know, never taught. Now I got to do that online. And then you come back into the classroom. And so it's been a difficult transition from that standpoint. But like I said, it's rewarding. You know, it's a great job.
Now I want to give you a case study and ask you how you would handle this. If you had a student like Doc, how would you handle that?
I'd call his parents and ask them to transfer.
Wait a minute. You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me you were a special ed teacher.
My wife is, Doc. My wife's a pediatric
jackpot.
PT. She works with all sorts of awesome kids. So
I'm in there then.
I'm sure we'd be able to deal with you.
Yeah.
I'd get tips from her on how to best deal with you and make you the best person you can be.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
I love it because I think you get to make a difference in people's lives, and that's really what we all want to do. You know,
I hope so.
It ain't easy.
No,
but
I couldn't do it, man.
No, but you know what? I kind of like, again, I relate everything back to soccer. You know, when I started coaching, I was all by myself. I was a 22-year-old head college soccer coach. You know, didn't have an assistant. Well, I kind of did, but it was another 22-year-old that was taking master's classes, right? And you're just learning on the fly, and I heard it a lot and read it. You read books. You don't have to be their friends. They just have to respect you. And that's the hardest thing, especially for a young coach, because you're pretty close to their age. You want to be friends with them. You want them to like you. And it's the same thing in the classroom, right? You don't have to be, and you don't really need to be friends. They just need to respect what you do. And even if it doesn't look like they're paying attention, or they always have a frown or a grumpy face or whatever it is, at some point, if you're doing your job right, you're going to find out that they respect you, which is all you can ask for.
Yeah, so you got into Convene Communities because you invited me in as a speaker. I came and talked to the athletes, and we just started building from there. We really did, you know. So talk a little bit about that, and we're going to transition into some of the great things. You're part of the core team of Convene. You've been a part of this for, like you said, you started recruiting Braden in 2014 timeframe. So you've been around since that time in this building process and a big part of it and all that. And so just talk about that.
Yeah, it's getting on 10 years, isn't it? I remember when you came in and spoke to the athletes. It was awesome. It was the first time I had really heard your story. I mean, you told me bits and pieces of it, but it's the first time I really, like I said, heard your story, understood where you were coming from. I didn't know much about, still really don't. I didn't know much about the military and different ways and procedures and all that you both talk about quite a bit. And you connected with the kids. And they connected with you, and I saw that, and I just, you know, what we've already talked about, you know, that's something that I really enjoy, and that's something that sticks with me. And I just kept seeing the more and more potential of Convene and what it can do for kids and relationships and learning and everything else. And Thankfully you wanted me to stick around and be part of the core team, and here we are. And now I've got my finger in about 7 different or 8 different communities and groups and everything. I think the only thing I really haven't been able to do is the Monday night calls much, just because of being time frame and busy, but it's awesome. It's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about it. So we'll talk about a couple of the communities that you're a part of. And you went up to Michigan and you talked to Kate Gallahue, and you started talking about her vision, and you said, so talk about that, because that's really cool. And that evolved into the community of Uniquely You.
Yeah, it was a great conversation. I mean, I took my wife and kids up to Michigan, where my girls hadn't been up there, and we kind of toured around the west side of the state and went up to the UP and came back down. And as we were driving north, we stopped at my 2 best friends growing up. They have a house, a cabin up on the lake, and Kate and her husband Chad and 2 boys were there. And so we stopped, I don't know, 3-4 days maybe it was, and just had some great conversations. And Kate and I kind of got on the talk of kids, and Chad's a coach as well. He coaches youth. So we were talking about that and just kind of youth. And again, it was right after, a year, kind of COVID is sort of fading out a bit. So we were chatting about the dynamics of kids, and Kate being, former PA and working with kids, and just shared some of the kind of the same thoughts and visions. And I said, Kate, I got a platform for you. I got the right thing for you, in terms of being able to connect with these kids and have teens connect with each other and talk about tough topics or not, and do it if they want to be anonymous or not, as a learning tool. And, first she was like, how Kate is. She's such a nice person. She's like, okay, I'll think about it. And then a couple months later, she just reached back out and said, let's talk a little bit more about this. She was ready to do it. And thank goodness, because she is making some big waves right now, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's doing a great job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Using the platform as it should be.
So from that, what do you teach in school?
Civics and World History.
Okay, so civics, world history. So there's a difference in teaching civics and world history, and then also something that you're very passionate about, and that's the kids and who they are.
Right.
And so you have a couple of groups. We'll talk about each of them, but you want to make an impact in their lives more than just civics and world history.
100% more. Yeah, 100%. So started using Convene in the classroom, introduced it with the kids. Actually, when I was in middle school, part of it was just a bit of a time filler, a little brain break, as people call them, I guess. Let them try to create some experiences. And then, I got into the high school. I really wanted to do something different. Again, coming out of COVID, you could just see that the kids were a little bit different. And that first year in high school, I had the 8th graders that they were 9th graders, but I had them the year before in middle school. And so I could see that there was just something a little bit different. And we were, I think me and you were talking. I can't remember exactly how it came up, but your daughter Megan writes, "I am from the experience I am from," and it's all about just her perspective, more in a poem way, right, of who she is and the experiences she had. And so I showed it. There it is, a little red arrow. See. I showed it to the kids and had my students, my 9th graders, take it. And it was incredible to watch them take it, because once I finally told them, don't just tell me you're from, North Carolina and your mom's name is Susie and your dad's name is Ralph, whatever. They sort of took it to heart, and they were writing a lot. You got everything. There's a little bit of, maybe it's the soccer one, but I thought I had some of the answers, but the kids were taking it and then writing who they were. Some of it really, really deep, really heartfelt stuff, things that I'm sure that their classmates don't even know. And they were able to share it because they realized quickly that nobody would know who it was that wrote these things because of the anonymity piece. And then as a couple other classes, my other classes took it, I started noticing they were reading everybody else's answers. And you could see it on their face, like, oh, wow, someone else is going through what I went through, or somebody else has experienced what I've experienced. And it's, some of it was about their time at home in COVID. Some of these students were at home by themselves, or maybe taking care of a little brother or little sister and having some difficult times. And they were reading that. So they were learning from each other. I mean, as you well know, exactly what the platform was meant for. Peer-to-peer learning.
Exactly. That experience has been taken more than any experience on the whole entire platform. And the cool thing is when you go and you read the answers, like you just said, you can see the commonality of a lot of kids. A lot of kids nowadays, they're dealing with anxiety, extreme anxiety, or dealing with, bullying, or dealing with those. And you see these answers popping up in I Am From. And then we have this part of it called a lesson learned. And what the cool thing to me is, you see answers like, I understand that I'm not alone. I understand I'm not the only one going through this. And a lot of times you hear me say it all the time, you think you're walking alone. You think you're the only one going through that, and you're not. And that's what's really cool about the I Am From experience is it's actually Lainey that wrote it, but Lainey's writing about who she is and what her life experiences that she's gone through has made her who she is. And now the kids are able to read that and write it, and it's powerful. It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And the lessons learned is similar to what we were talking about in terms of kids to teacher or coaches in respect. It's similar. They would learn from each other and sort of gain that respect of whoever it was writing, because they don't know. But in the lessons learned, not everybody entered in or wrote about a lessons learned, but you could still tell, at least I could, on their faces that they were soaking it up. And then the ones that did share their lessons learned, it was just as you think it would be.
Well, you've told me something pretty cool about, and I think it's that experience, but you told me that there was somebody in your classroom that you would walk by and she would have Convene up. Talk about that and what she said.
Yeah, a couple have. And did it with a different experience earlier this year, but I was just walking by it, seeing if anybody was needing help or whatever, and she kind of covered up her screen a little bit. And I wasn't trying to read anybody's intentionally. And then after class, she came up and she said, "Mr. Bateson, something to the effect of, is my post okay?" And I don't know. I don't know which one it is, and that's why I made sure she knew it was all anonymous. And she actually pointed it out to me, and I read it, and there was a lot of stuff in there that she was pouring out. And I saw her either that day or the next day as I was leaving school, and rolled down my window as I was pulling out, and I just said, "Hey, I'm really proud of you for sharing what you shared." I said, "Just know it'll never come to be that, I'll never put your name and, connect it out there." And she just sort of almost started breaking down. She goes, "I just needed that release, and I can't even write it in my diary for fear of somebody finding my diary," that sort of thing. So it really affected her in a positive way. And she still every once in a while writes some discussion boards, or she's made a couple experiences in there.
Well, that's the point. We want to make it a safe place. We want to make it a place that people can come in and do and talk about what they need to talk about.
Yeah. Well, and
not be a retribution.
I don't know if you even know this one, but just right before Thanksgiving break, another student of mine that I had for 3 years, middle school, 2 years in high school, and I had asked this student about becoming a group leader or part of the leadership program, and they just weren't ready at the time. Very, very quiet student, very intelligent, connects with lots of different people, and finally came in and just said, I want to create a group. I want my own group. And I won't say it right now, but around teen wellness and teen health and mental health and all that. And very excited about starting this group, very confident about talking about their story. So it's just another.
It's a way to let them step up and be leaders and tell their story and show that, hey, you're not alone. Again, you're not alone. It's okay. You're not the only one going through it. And I think, again, that's what's awesome about it.
And another example of exactly how it can be used and should be used.
Yeah. So another way you've done it in the classroom is you've allowed your high school classes to write their own experiences. And I think that that's a powerful thing that we can, that's one thing people may not realize about Convene is it's not just about you writing the experience or me or Doc writing the experience. Anybody can write an experience. So a lot of these are written from your students and they're written anonymously. So talk about that.
Yeah. And you can't see the full, but there's probably 30 or 35 experiences in there. And in all honesty, I've deleted about 20 because they either didn't get finished or they were silly.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can see the topics of it, phones, meaning and purpose, that one, this or that's kind of a fun one. Would you choose this or choose that? So they're in just kind of doing their own thing, a little bit of way to be creative, creating their own experiences, and all of the experiences in there have probably a minimum of 5 different students have taken them, upwards of 10 to 15. So it's kind of fun to see and give them that chance. So the other little experience on there called One Word is something that is not only in the main community, but I adapted it for my students. And so at the beginning of this year, I had them choose a word that would mean something to them that they could see. So I had them write it out, draw it out, color it however they wanted. And I still have it up on the wall on the side. So as they're sitting in class, they can always see their word. And it was just sort of their way or my way of having them not only keep themselves focused as best they could or can, but also maybe give themselves a little own sort of personal confidence, so
really
another way to do that.
Yeah, it's really cool. And again, it's something different in class. You can give them something different in class. You can give them something to do that kind of maybe is not about civics or world history a different day. Let's talk about relative topics that you guys are going through.
Yeah, but I will be putting on some of the lessons and starters with Convene this coming semester. So I will be doing actual academic teaching with it. Yeah, it'll be great.
Well, we talk about that all the time. We won't really get into that, but it is meant. It's based. It's built off adult learning theory. It's built off of a scenario-based type format. But I will guarantee you that if you go through, and this is a longer discussion than this, but if you go through the learning methodology of what Convene is built on, the way the platform is built, I promise you, your grades will increase if it's being used the way it's designed. For sure.
Yep, for sure.
So in the classroom, that's good. You're making a mark in the classroom. You're going to use it as an educational tool coming up, but you use it as real life experience and allow them to have that outlet and the discussion boards and all that. So kudos to you. I think that's really good. But you also use it for coaching your soccer team. So let's talk a little bit about, and I think it's a perfect tool. This is why I approached you a long time ago, because I think I was using it with my youth soccer teams.
Just going to say that. Yeah. I still use that experience of, what is it? Was it offensive transition that you made a little video of your team playing? I still use as an example of when I show it to coaches, of all sports really, but when I showed soccer coaches the way you can use it, because what were they, 12, 11, 12, 13, whatever at that age. And so certainly for them, even more so, not wanting to put their name attached to an answer that they might be wrong about, and it's anonymous.
Absolutely.
So there's some great answer. But I use it with my girls, usually with the boys, because I coach the boys as well, but not just with the girls. But there's what's your one word? Used it with them. And I, on the bottom of my practice planning sheet, I wrote down all their words, and every practice, every game, I'd circle one of them. I'd tell them which word it was that it related to, so you can sort of see it. A couple other experiences on there. Which one are you talking about? The cow and the bison story, if you've never heard that before. And then this one, actually, I really loved, called What's Your Worth. Actually just had this conversation with one of my daughters the other day. Essentially is your worth is more than just what you do on the field or any awards or, any recognition you get. Your worth is bigger than that to a team. So there's some fun answers to read there. And then just some tactical quizzes. So, that's on the outside of soccer, sort of, if you will. And then with soccer, one of our team moms was videoing the games, and she'd send me little clips. And because I've found over the years watching full games, the kids get lost, but or they get bored, or if you're in a classroom and it's dark or whatever, and they start falling asleep while you're doing game film. So I just put a 5-8 second clip of the games. ask them one or two questions, and you can see I put this one as a discussion board of just what you learn in general. It might be hard to see, but you can see there's a couple players with their names attached. A couple players wanted to answer anonymously. It didn't matter to me. They were learning, and they were learning from each other, just like the I am from experience. Yeah. And it must work, because obviously we have, I shouldn't say obviously, people don't know, but we have good players in our program. But we were back-to-back state semifinalists, and to be honest, probably should have won both those games. And last year was a 4 seed in the state, and so they're learning while they're playing in different ways. So
yeah,
it works.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your summer workouts and all that you put in there, which is
that's
good.
Right. Yeah.
It just allows you to communicate. So it's a great tool. We're showing the flexibility of how the platform can be used. And so it's not just always educational, but it can be educational. There's so many different ways that you can go about using it.
Yeah. And with sports, I mean, again, like I said, I'm not at the school that I coach at. I teach at a different school. So for me, I can't just, hey, let's get together for 5 minutes after school and chat. Nope, here it is. It's all online. It's all on the platform. You're learning, and it's not just, hey, watch the film. It's here's some film, here's 2 questions, or here's a scenario in the game. What could we have done better or worse, or what I guess not worse. You don't want to do worse, but what could you better in the scenario? And they can all answer it from afar. And we just discuss it at practice. Done.
Yeah. And part of the key about that is that if you put that out there and all your players answer, and they're anonymous, so you don't even know who's answering it, right? And you're looking at the questions, and you're reading the answers, and you see a disconnect of what you want them to understand, that's going to lead into your practice plan.
Yep. Just like the classroom. Kids aren't getting it on their exit ticket. Now you know what to hit the next day in class. 100%.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Man, I don't know how, Doc, a Marine created a site like this.
I don't either.
Can you imagine a normal civilian, just a regular old civilian using it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, gosh. I know. Oh, that's awesome.
Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, that's right, Todd. There you go.
That's right. No, so those are some of the ways that you're using it with kids, and really making a difference with the kids, which is extremely cool. It's pretty awesome. But there's a couple more ways that you use it. You're a coach, a Convene coach, right? And so we can just to explain to people what that means to you, and how you do that.
Yeah, so just actually modeling it after your coaching group. I started a coaching group. I still got to finish up a few of the touches of it, but it's pretty much done. And anybody that wants to sort of learn how to use Convene, kind of the insides, you can see the experiences there are mainly the experiences we've all put together over the last couple of years, and you can watch those. But also then personalization. I've actually had a couple people already reach out over the last 2 weeks about Convene coaching. So we can do it a couple of different ways. We can sort of do it informally for free and chat every once in a while, or send a couple of emails, or we can get really in depth and spend a lot more time together and really hammer out some ideas of not only how to use it, but how to market it and the ins and outs of the platform. And, it's just, again, it's a better way than most other platforms allow for, and I don't really know a ton of them, but generally speaking, the ones I've seen, there's a video, you watch the video, and then hopefully you get it. And if you don't get it, you find someone else that made another video similar and you watch it. And hopefully you get it. Well, here we're going to have those talks. We're going to Zoom just like this. We're going to email back and forth. They got questions. I'm going to go through it with them, and really make sure that they're succeeding.
Mentorship.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the mentorship. It's hey, here's how you can do it. Let's cut the time in half. Let me show you how you can do it, and all that. So that's really good. And like I said, I mean, the content is in there. You can go watch the videos by yourself, or you can watch some videos and let us walk you through it and help you create that strategy and succeed. And that's really cool. So that's good. But one of the things that you're getting ready to do that I'm pretty excited about, and it's coming soon, and is we talk a lot about mental health. Like I've been asked before, is this a mental health site? Because I do have a degree in in counseling, but you work with these kids, and it becomes so important. I would say you're as much of a counselor as I am, in the classroom, because you're seeing it every day. So you're creating this, your mindset is everything. You're going to use this in the classroom with your kids. So, and let's talk about that. And one of the things that I love that you've done is you've gone out and you've had other people make videos for you, like me. I made one for you and everything. So talk about that.
Well, it just sort of hit me one day, to be fair. Growth mindset's nothing new. It's been around for a long time. And it just kind of hit me at some point that essentially I've been living in and through and teaching and developing growth mindsets my whole life, either my own or others. And as I just started looking around, Googling growth mindset, there's so much material out there. But as I started really looking into it, it's one of two things. It's either an article and maybe a couple of links off of that article. And there's a million articles, or there's a video or 2 or 3 series, and it's, this is one part of your attitude. This is part of, do better or learn from your mistakes. And then this is, you're not good at it yet, or you'll get there soon. And that's kind of it, right? There's nothing coming back. So if I'm a kid who wants to really get it, it doesn't have to be a kid, but that's what it's targeted after. I really want to improve and grow my mindset and become better at things. Just reading the article, I was bored reading the articles. Watching some of these videos, I was kind of bored. So it just fits. I know it sounds like I'm trying to sell it, Convene, which I kind of am, kind of not, but it just fits what I want to do with it. So each one of those little experiences, there's 11 different topics. My goal is to continually update it and maybe make a part 2 down the road or whatever. But it has a background. So, attitude's the first one. So here's a little bit about what attitude is, what it can be. Here's a little bit of story I have about attitude, PMA, positive mental attitude. It's a little mantra that we've used. My buddies and I used to joke about it in high school, but it sort of stuck with me. And then I have a video from somebody on Convene. We got a lot of good people on Convene. So there's a little 1 to 2 minute video of what they think attitude is. I kind of sum it up. There's a couple of questions, the lessons learned, and in the lessons learned, I'm going to then give them a video to recap it, maybe another little story. And that's all 11 of the modules. There's a pre-test, there's a post-test. Where's your growth mindset before? There's your growth mindset after. But the biggest part of the selling point is I'm not going to just let them read it and watch the videos and be done with it. The other 2 things are they're going to learn peer-to-peer. There's going to be thousands of kids taking this, and they're going to be able to read all of those answers. Each one of those modules, how other people used it, what scenarios they were in that changed their attitude, or whatever the case is. They're going to learn from that. They're going to learn from the lessons learned. And then the next part is I'm always going to be in the group constantly posting discussion boards, posting blogs, answering discussion boards, answering questions, challenging them with new things. So, it's not just hey, come take this for 9 weeks or however long it takes you. It's as long as you want. It could be a lifetime. Yeah. So that's my goal.
With interview people and all that about,
I might
success.
Probably Doc. Yeah, probably Doc.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, actually, Matt, I didn't tell you this. The success experience, the success topic, when you did the video, I actually changed the tagline of it because you did such a good job on it.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
So I'll expect the royalties later.
Everybody come check out my success video. It's a good story, right? We'll talk about it a little bit. We'll give them a little bit of hint is that we think success, right? We got to succeed. And I think and let's dive into it, looking at the youth, just to give an example, is there's so much pressure on these kids nowadays to be successful that is what leads to their extreme anxiety. That's what leads to them having trouble focusing in school and all that, because there's so much on them, so much stress on them. They have to succeed. And you know what? They're going to be okay, right? They're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's a huge thing is I went through, we all go through it, and you have to learn. You have to understand that your mistakes don't make you a bad person. So I asked Doc to pull this up real quick because I just wanted to show some of the other communities that I'm involved. I know Doc's involved in the adventure community. Volleyball, I've been talking to some teams and even some local clubs about using it on a much larger scale. And then had the idea with the teaching community, obviously, a couple years ago, maybe about 2 years ago. And then Amy actually re-brought it up. So really excited to get that started. That's why it says they're both in development. So really excited about all the different opportunities, that's going on, not only just for me, but for everybody else. But Matt, I wanted to go backwards, and you're talking about the success. And just like I did a couple of years ago, I'm going to flip this around on you. I'm going to ask you some questions. Are you ready? You want to need some water or anything?
That's right. We need to play some music or whatever, and reintroduce.
Well, there you go. That's the wrong music. So, but no, I wanted you to be able to tell everybody else, because for the last couple of months, everybody's been telling their story. So I want to make sure that you get a chance to not really retell your story. So many people already know the background, your story. But speaking about success, tell us a little bit about how the Convene community itself, but then also inside the Convene community, when you started your coaching group, and those 5, 6, 7 members first started taking it, and talk about how their success went from here to here within a matter of weeks.
Yeah. Well, I'll first start a little bit about Convene and where the communities came from. Is I used to just do all this business to business. So it was around that time that I was meeting you, Jeff, and talking to you, because I told you at the beginning of the call, me and Braden had gone for a business to business meeting.
Yep.
I did a speaking event at Duke University, and I'm there talking to trauma surgeons, talking to trauma nurses, EMTs, paramedics, everything. And after I got done speaking, nobody wanted to talk to me about working in a trauma center. Right. They wanted to talk to me about their parenting and marriages and relationships and all that. Right. That's what everybody's coming to. So it really struck me at the time. I'm like, you know what? Convene can be used by anybody for any topic, the thought process of it. So that's where the idea of the communities came from.
I said that same thing at lunch that day. Remember? You were talking about it, and I said verbatim, I go, Matt, you can use this for anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And it kept coming up. It kept coming up in the conversations and everything. So I really wanted to build something that anybody and everybody could take and run with it. And so that's what we created, why we created the Convene communities. It's a different way. It's a different way of communication, different way to get people involved, but we all bring something to the table. We all bring life experience to the table, no matter if you're a young middle school kid or whether you're an adult. Doesn't matter. We bring something to the conversation, to the table. And that's really a big part of the idea. The anonymity piece is really cool, but because it allows people to feel comfortable that they can share what they want to share without that fear of reprisal and all that.
And not using it in the wrong way. Not anonymity to blast other people, right? Anonymity to use it in the right way and to share stories positively. Yeah.
Well, we always say it's not if, it's when. But I have never, we've been at this a long time, I've never seen one negative comment on Convene. Right. Not one. Never. Not one. And we actually had a politics community for a little bit of time. And even in that politics community, there was never one negative comment. And you know why? Because I wasn't responding to Doc, or I wasn't responding to Jeff Bateson.
I'll fix that in about 20 minutes, pal.
Don't even start, Doc. Don't go down that road.
So
anonymously.
So you actually would learn something out. Anyway, off that topic. But the deal was, let's talk about success recently, because we've been going and we've been going and we've been going. But so I finally was like, okay, I need to really start coaching and people. So I got people to commit to 12 weeks where they have, if you're going to work with me, 12 weeks, you're going to meet with me once a week. We're going to start with your strategy, and we're going to build from your strategy and really kind of get it from nuts to bolts. It's going to be out there. It's going to be ready to go. You're going to be launching.
Yep.
And granted, some of the people had been with Convene for a long time, for a little bit of time, but they weren't organized enough.
Yeah.
And so what happened in this coaching process, this mentorship process, is they're killing it. There's about 7 people that have gone through the program, and they're all just starting to kill it. And
their groups, their communities look great.
Their groups, their community, because it goes back to that coaching, that mentorship. We literally start with your strategy and say, okay, is this the right strategy? Do you need to narrow down? What are you doing? And let's get organized. First and foremost, let's get organized. And that's what people have done. They've gotten organized. They've gotten their content in there. They've started to market it in a different way. They've started to have different conversations. People are getting speaking events. People are working with different clients because they have the confidence to go after those clients. I've always said, and I've said it a lot to people, is, it's really easy to go and say, hey, Jeff, you should use this thing called Convene. It's really, really good. It's awesome. You could put your content in there. Well, Jeff, how are you using it? Well, I'm not really. I don't. And then it's like, well, wait a minute. You're telling me to use it, but you're not using it. Yeah. And so it really has changed the game of how people have gone in and how they're organized and their confidence to go out and really grow. What I do is you're in a group with other people that are creating content. So you get that group interaction. And then you're also in, and we do a call, we call it the CPP, the Convene Platform Professional. So I'm teaching you in that how to be a professional Convene platform user. And then we have individual groups. So we can actually, you and I can go back and forth, and I'll go in there and I'll review your content. Let's say I'll review what you're doing. And then I'll give you my thoughts and advice on it. And I'll do it in a video. So, it's not necessarily me sitting on the other side and us going back and forth. It's a video you can watch on your own time and ask questions. And it's working like a champ.
You know what you just did? You just described what you're doing with your group. You just described a Convene experience.
Absolutely.
You're giving them the background, the information, and how to get everything set up. They're answering your questions, quote unquote. They're sort of figuring it out. And then the biggest part, well, not the biggest part, a big part is in that group setting, they're learning from each other. Right. Correct. This is how I'm doing it, and this is how I'm successful. Oh, well, he's doing it that way, or she's doing it that way. Maybe I should do it that way. And just thinking, I'll just say 3. So Laurel, Kate, and Jody, just those 3 right there. Their groups and their content looks great. You said, Jody's out getting speaking engagements now, doing other things. Laurel is killing it with her community. That might have been a bad word to use.
Laurel's the death doula.
Laura's doing really well with her community. But
well played, sir.
That's right. But she's mentoring others now inside the platform in her community, right? And then, like you said,
let me tell you something on that. When Laurel came on, let's stick at Laurel real quick. When Laurel came to work in Convene, she really wanted a platform that allowed her to have interaction with the people she's teaching. All she wanted to do was make a couple of modules. That's it. She just wanted to have a place where she could have, her theology-based course and then her business-based course. And then that was it. Those 2. How do you run a death doula business? A death doula business, like out in the field, working with clients? How do you, bring theology into that? Those were the 2 things. Now she has a 3rd that she's working on and building, and I'll be on her. She formalizes it. So she has calls every Tuesday night with everybody that's taking her program. So starting in not next Tuesday, but the following Tuesday for 2 Tuesdays in a row, I'll be on there teaching her doulas how to run their own business within Convene. So it's gone from these 2 modules to, okay, now we're going to teach them how to run your business inside a Convene module. So now 3 modules. And now so all of her doulas are setting that up inside of the Convene community. And now she will be creating a directory of death doulas throughout all of the world. And
it's incredible.
She put the thing. And that's just it. It's incredible. It's an incredible model. And then I'll let you talk about Kate now.
Well, and again, I sort of feel bad just saying these 3 names because, 5 or 6 others that were in the group are doing excellent as well. But, Kate now has, and I'll say the confidence, but she's always had confidence, but Kate has the confidence in terms of going out and I'm trying to remember what you how you put it, I should say, but going to find clients, seeing what a business does that matches up with what she wants to help kids with and people with. And now she can go and say, hey, look, not only do I have the right platform for you, but here's how I'm using it, right? And now she's starting to partner with these other companies. They're starting to put their content in it. And those companies inside Uniquely You or Uniquely Yours or the health and wellness or the women's community, those companies are in there. Another company comes in, and it's not a competition, right? Between these groups, they're actually collaborating with and learning from each other. And their clientele, if you will come in, use one group, see another similar that can go right over there without the competition of it. And it just forms a huge community.
Well, I'll even say right before the podcast started, I got a text from Amy, and Amy went out today and spoke at a school. And then she had a parent session. So she taught the kids during school. She had a parent session tonight, talked to all the parents about Convene and what Convene could be. And she talked to the principal about the teacher community that's coming. And the teacher community is, very interested in that.
Yeah.
So they're finding, okay, now it's not just about, can I go in and create my little group inside of Convene? It's, can I go out and can I create something massive? And can I go out and now teach people how they can use it? Whether it's for profit or passion or for a purpose, does not matter. No. It can be, not everybody that's in Convene is in Convene to make money. Some people are in Convene to make a difference in people's lives. And that's one of the things that I love about it, is it's not all about profit. It can be about what you're passionate about. Yeah. It can be about what your purpose is.
Matt, we haven't even used the word money, profit, everything today. Certainly you can make as much money as you want on this platform, and we can go another 5 podcasts on that. Yeah. But that's not what it's about. That's not what it's about. We haven't even mentioned it.
Absolutely.
So,
let's talk about next week real quick, because you just mentioned, I just want to talk about this. Yeah. Well, you led into it, right? So I do want to kind of give this the introduction before we go off. It's like, it's been me and you and Eugene and Doc on the podcast every single week, which has been great. But you just mentioned some of the people that are the most successful inside of Convene. So next Wednesday night,
here we go.
We're going to have ladies only night.
Don't ever do that again.
Oh, sorry.
And it's going to be a roundtable of all these successful women who are doing amazing things inside of Convene. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to be on it. You're not going to be on it. Eugene's not going to be on it. Doc will be on it, but he'll be in the background.
Hey,
you heard that, Doc? You're in the background.
That's where I like to be.
Know your place.
Yeah. And they're going to come on and they're going to talk about what they're doing to be successful, how Convene helps them to be successful, and what their big plans are in 2024. I'm excited.
That's going to be great.
How about that?
Yeah, it's going to be a great one.
Yeah. So Jeff, we're coming up on an hour here. I appreciate it. I think that, I appreciate your friendship. You know that we've been, here. It's been about 10 years. First, I appreciate you giving my son an opportunity to play college soccer. And that was wonderful. And
he earned it. He deserved it.
Yeah, he earned it. He did good. He 2-year captain there at Guilford College and all that. And I'll tell you what, that's a growth thing as well, because it's played a big part. And, he works for Milwaukee Tools nowadays. And it's that college experience and high school experience, like you talked about. And then that college experience has really helped them.
Excuse me, sir. It's
in the leadership roles.
It's Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
You're from St. Louis. You don't know.
So before we go, Andy, I'll let you make a comment, because I always do. I like to hear your comments.
I like pie.
You need to go into one of Jeff's classes and all that. It'd be tough.
And paste. I like paste.
I'll have to get some.
Yeah.
No, nothing other than looking forward to next week and every other week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fun. I appreciate everything you do, Andy. Up in the upper left-hand corner, hit that donate button. Andy does this out of the kindness of his heart. Spends a lot of time helping me out, so I really appreciate everything you do, Andy. And hit that donate button on there and help Andy pay for this great service of Restream that we use and all that. So, which is a good
Please, it keeps Mama off my back.
Jeff, thanks for being on. I'll give you the last words and all that. And but yeah, you're doing great things. I'm looking forward to this mindset class you're going to be putting out. You're putting a lot of work in it. People can't see it yet, but it looks great. You know, some of the best experiences built that I've seen inside of the platform. Hands down.
Yeah. So no, I'm just excited to be still a part of it, still growing, seeing the growth of it. You know, as I told you, my main goal was to talk less about me, if you will, but more about how I'm using the platform and showing other people that how you can. You know, Eugene even typed in, you know, just so many different ways to use the platform. And to reiterate, you know, around the lunch table that day, it's a platform that can be used for any topic, and anybody can learn and use it. I think it's an unbelievable platform. I think 2024 is going to be a huge year for us. And I appreciate everything you do. You work super hard. Even when you're in the air flying, you're sending out notes and messages. So we all appreciate what you do, and are glad a Marine came up with this idea.
That's amazing.
I don't know how you say it.
Semper Fi. Hoorah.
I have to behave, so I can't say. Yes.
yeah, you've been put on your behave notice tonight. All right, everybody. Next week, watch the ladies. It's going to be great. We'll come back the following week. We're going to introduce the mental wellness community. That's
going to be awesome.
Really, really excited about that, bringing that back out and really getting that going. But Jeff, as always, thanks for being on. Really appreciate it.
See you next week. See you in 2 weeks.
Have a happy night. That's right.